Hello friends, in this video I am going to take lecture on triple integration. So let me explain definition of triple integration. So here we consider one of the function f of x, y, z which is continuous at every point of finite region V of three-dimensional space. Then we divide this region V into n sub-regions of respective volumes, say delta V1, delta V2, delta V3 up to so on delta Vn. And we consider one of the arbitrary point, say xi, yi, zi in the ith sub-region. Okay, and we consider the sum of, see here, we consider the sum of f of xi, yi, zi into delta Vi, and here we take our I varies from 1 to n because here we have considered n sub regions. Okay, now the limits of this sum as n tending to infinity and delta Vi tending to 0 means here we make our sub region smaller and smaller. That's why this delta Vi tends to 0 and n tending to infinity. This region becomes approximately 0 if and only if we take infinitely many sub regions. Okay, so the limit of this sum as n tending to infinity and delta Vi tending to 0, if it exists, then it is called as triple integration. Okay, so in this way we define triple integration. So triple integration of f of x, y, z is denoted by this triple integration over V f of x, y, z dx dy dz, or it may be denoted as triple integration over V f of x, y, z dv. Okay, now for evaluation purpose it can be expressed as a repeated integrals, right? There are three integrals, so there are repeated integrals. So this integration can be written as integration from z1 to z2, integration from y1 to y2, and integration from x1 to x2 f of x, y, z dx dy and dz. We do this only for evaluation purpose. Okay, and in double integration already I had explained that the order of integration depends upon the limits. We always take constant limits outside and so on. Okay, so in this triple integration, since f is a function of three variables x, y, and z. Now let us see what about limits. So if limit of x is a function of y and z, say x varies from f1 of yz to f2 of yz. Okay, then limit of y, suppose limit of y is a function of single variable, say z. Okay, and suppose z, limit of z is constant from a to b. Now if you observe, while writing limits, remember one thing, we always take innermost integration which involve two variables. Okay, so the limit involving two variables represent innermost integration, and limit and the integration involving only constant limits is outermost integration. Remember or concentrate on these two things. We always take constant limits outside, and we always take limit involving two variable as a innermost limit. Remember these two things. So remaining third one is nothing but the middle one integration. Okay, so remember order of integration depends upon the limits. Now what happens if all limits are constant? Then order of integration is immaterial. You may take outer integration with respect to x or with respect to y or with respect to z, means you may change order of integration if all limits are constants. Okay, so in this way we define triple integration. Okay, now next thing, suppose limits of x involve two variables, that means limits of x, we consider limits of x as a innermost limit, right? Then limits of z are constant, that means we take limit of z as a outer integration, and that of limit of y involves single variable, that's why it is middle integration. Now while evaluating triple integration, we always evaluate innermost integration first. Now here innermost integration with respect to dx. Okay, so first we find integration of this f of x y z with respect to x, and we apply limits of x between f1 of yz to f2 of yz, and then we integrate the resultant expression with respect to y. Again we apply limits between g1z to g2z. Again the result obtained is further integrated with respect to z between the limits a to b. Okay, so in this way we evaluate triple integration. Also we identify limits of x, y and z. Now evaluation of triple integration is greatly simplified by suitable change of variables. Like in double integration, we evaluated some integrations with the help of polar substitution, right? Similarly, evaluation of triple integral is simplified using some suitable change of variables, and that's so here I start the first topic of triple integration, that is spherical polar transformation. Okay, so to change the Cartesian coordinates x, y, z to spherical polar coordinates r, theta and phi, let us see the geometrical representation of these spherical polar substitutions. Okay, so here we are going to substitute values of x, y and z, right? So let us see. Here I consider one of the point P on the sphere. So here I consider the sphere of radius a. Okay, so I consider one of the point P on the sphere. So if I join this point P from origin, I get one of the vector, say r. Okay, so this is the vector r. Now here this OP makes the angle theta with positive z axis. Okay, and we measure this angle in clockwise direction. Okay, so theta represent angle made by this vector OP with positive z axis. Okay, now we are going to find spherical polar form of this x, y and z. This is our aim. Now we take projection of this point P on xy plane. Now see, this is our z axis, this is our y axis, and this is our x axis, and this is the origin. Okay, now here we have considered this point in yz plane on the sphere. Okay, now we take its projection on this xy plane. Okay, so suppose here is the projection, say OP, and suppose this is the R. Okay, this is projection of this point P on xy plane. Now we join this OR. Okay, now here is the angle 90 degree. Right, now if you observe, this is nothing but the distance, or first of all we find this vector PR. Now if you observe, this angle is 90 degree, right? So that means this is the hypotenuse. So for this triangle OPR, R is the hypotenuse. Okay, and since this angle is theta, so its opposite angle is also theta, right? Now we know with respect to this triangle, this side, this is the adjacent side of this theta, right? And we know cos theta is equals to, cos theta is equals to what? Adjacent side upon hypotenuse, right? So equals to, now this adjacent side is unknown, but we know its hypotenuse. So for this angle, hypotenuse is R. Okay, so adjacent side upon hypotenuse, that means R, and hence this adjacent side becomes R into cos theta, and this is nothing but value of Z, because this is the distance on this Z axis, right? So Z is equals to R cos theta, right? Now it remained to find value of x and y. Now let's see. Here I join this vector, okay, say O, P, R, and here I say yes. Okay, now this is nothing but yes, R represent the distance y, and this OS is our x. Now it remains to find value of x and y. Now since this angle is 90 degree, this angle is also 90 degree, right? Before that, I find this opposite side of this triangle OPR. Okay, now we know sine theta is equals to, what is sine theta? Sine theta is equals to opposite side upon hypotenuse, right? So in this angle, triangle OPR, sine theta becomes opposite side. Now this opposite side is unknown, divided by hypotenuse is r, right? So sine theta is equals to opposite side divided by hypotenuse is r. So this opposite side becomes r into sine theta, right? So this OR is r into sine theta, right? Now we turn towards next triangle OSR. Okay, now angle made by this OR with this positive x-axis is nothing but phi. This is our phi. Okay, now since this angle is 90 degree, so opposite to this 90 degree, here we have r sine theta. So this r sine theta is hypotenuse of triangle OSR, right? Again, this y is adjacent side, and we know cos phi is equals to, sorry, with respect to this phi, y is opposite side, right? And we know sine phi is equals to what? So in a triangle OSR, sine phi is equals to, again formula of sine phi is opposite side divided by hypotenuse, right? But what is hypotenuse of triangle OSR? So it is r sine theta. So sine phi is equals to opposite side divided by r sine theta, and that's why this opposite side, here opposite side means y, right? So y upon r sine theta, and that's why value of y becomes sine phi into r sine theta. That is y is equals to r sine theta sine phi. Similarly, if we find value of x, we get x equals to r sine theta cos phi, then y is equals to x sine theta sine phi, and z is equals to our r cos theta. So in this way we have obtained spherical polar coordinates. So remember, x is equals to, sorry, here we have r, extremely sorry, r into sine theta cos phi, y is equals to r sine theta sine phi, and z is equals to r cos theta. Okay, then x square plus y square plus z square is equals to r square, dx dy dz is equals to Jacobian into dr d theta d phi, and here this modulus of Jacobian. Okay, here we take modulus of Jacobian, where Jacobian J is equals to represent Jacobian of x, y, z with respect to r theta phi, and if you evaluate this Jacobian, it gives us value r square sine theta. Okay, and that's why our dx dy dz becomes r square sine theta dr d theta d phi. You have to learn this substitution. You have to learn value of x, y, z, then x square plus y square plus z square equals to r square. Also remember dx dy dz equals to r square sine theta dr d theta d phi. Okay, now note one important thing. So in complete sphere, theta varies from 0 to pi, phi varies from 0 to 2 pi, and r varies from 0 to a, because here we have considered sphere of radius a. If we consider sphere of radius b, then r varies from 0 to b, like this. Okay, now instead of remembering these limits, you may learn it as triple integration. Here we take, for complete sphere, we take 8 times triple integration, where theta varies from 0 to pi by 2, phi varies over 0 to pi by 2, r varies over 0 to a. Okay, that of for hemisphere. Hemisphere means if you cut the sphere from its origin, then you get hemisphere, means half ball. If you cut the ball from its origin, then you will get hemisphere. Okay, so in hemisphere, theta varies from 0 to pi by 2, phi varies from 0 to 2 pi, and r varies from 0 to a. Or instead of this, you may consider 4 times integration, where theta, if you observe, in complete sphere, here we have considered 8 times, and limits of theta and phi are same, that is from 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2. Okay, then for hemisphere, here we take 4 times, 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2. And that for positive octant, in positive octant, both theta and phi varies from 0 to pi by 2, and r varies from 0 to radius of given sphere. Okay, so for positive octant, we take only integration one times. Okay, and limits of theta and phi are 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 2, and r varies from 0 to a. Okay, so instead of remembering these limits, you may remember this last one. Okay, so for complete sphere, we take 8 times, limits of theta and phi are 0 to pi by 2. Okay, and r varies from 0 to radius of given sphere. Okay, that for hemisphere 4 times. For positive octant, we take 1 time. Okay, so in this way, we transform, or we change Cartesian coordinates into spherical polar coordinates using substitution. This x equals to r sin theta cos phi, y equals to r sin theta sin phi, z is equals to r cos theta. Also x square plus y square is equals to r square, and that of dx dy dz equals to r square sin theta dr d theta d phi. Okay, so in next video, I will take examples of this spherical polar transformation. Okay, thank you for watching my video.